It was really based on a simple idea that my wife and I wanted to play in some kind of project. My wife Joanna plays in the Edmonton Symphony, and I went to a symphony concert, and it was the music of Astor Piazzolla. And that was really the beginning, because I loved the music, and the idea is that the bandoneon is a reed instrument. I play saxophone, so a bit of a joke here is that I just decided to take the bandoneon out of the music, put the saxophone in, and that's how we started. And that first record got nominated for Juno, which is the Canadian equivalent of a Grammy, and it won a Western Canadian Music Award. And then we realized that we had something that was an interesting mix of classical and jazz components. The dynamic level or the dynamic range of the classical musician is far greater in terms of the softer dynamics. So the jazz musicians in the group, we've had to learn how to play a lot quieter at times. And of course, it goes without saying that the classical musician is trained at a very high level to play tune, articulations, the nuances. The jazz musicians, it's not that we're not interested in that. We just are thinking more about rhythmic variations, rhythmic complexities. And so from what I think has been the major development of the group is that the jazz musicians have had to deal with playing far more precise, dynamically more sensitive, and the string players have had to deal with the jazz musicians, and specifically the drummer, breaking up the time and masking the bar line. Because the classical musician very much is visually reliant on conductors.
We follow the soloist, we follow the conductor. So if there's any stretch or speed up or anything happens with the tempo during the performance, we immediately follow. So we slow down as well. Well, it's completely different, and it took us a long time to learn in this situation, playing jazz, is that no matter what happens, it may feel like somebody's slowing down, but actually the metronome is ticking and you have to count. That's completely different point of view than what we are used to.
When you first come up with the idea that you would stick a string quartet with a jazz quartet, it sounds all fine until you have to go on stage without any amplification. So now the game completely changes, because the acoustic string quartet only has a dynamic ceiling that's so loud. So everything has to now, that's the ceiling, and we really have to like self-mix ourselves.
There is a difference also between a string orchestra, where there's a blend of instruments of 4, 5 with double bass. Then there's few musicians in each section as opposed to one person playing this part. So it's instead of four musicians, quartet has to sound like one, with all the chords and harmony and everything. So it's more soloistic and I think much harder.
It has to really operate precisely as a unit, because there's no really very little margin for error.